Happy holidays, everybody. Welcome to Screentime, movie streaming and everything in between. Gary Tanguay along with Drew Yanno. We're here to talk about holiday movies, Christmas movies, movies that we love this time of year. And so many pop into my head, Drew. There's just a long, long list. And there's even a new one out that my wife saw the trailer and was like, I find that extremely disturbing. And that's
That's the
King.
Santa as the violent guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
know.
Violent Night. So
That won't make my list.
that won't make your list
Yeah.
with
Not that
David
I've got
Arbor.
anything against Tarantino style violence, but not my Christmas movies.
Not your Christmas movies. So, uh, but we've of course talked about Planes, Trains, and Automobile, which is the ultimate Thanksgiving movie. But there are just so many holiday movies or Christmas movies, if you will. Let's just get into it, man. And what's your favorite one?
Well, the all-time classic is "It's a Wonderful Life." I've seen it so many times now. I recite the dialogue as I watch it. Um, I think that's at the top of the list. But there are some Christmases I go by without watching it because I've watched it so many
Oh,
times. It's
right,
like, all right.
right.
Lately, I'm such an old timer. The two I have to watch from the old days, and it's because I was born in the wrong era, are Holiday Inn and White Christmas. We've watched them both, the wife and I. Um, I just love the Bing Crosby stuff. I love that old shit. It kills me every time. So I like those, but I'm getting to the point where I can do the dialogue on those as well.
Well, my favorite line from Jimmy Stewart in his "It's a Wonderful Life" is "Merry Christmas, you big old build." What was it?
Yeah,
Merry
the
Christmas,
Bailey's savings and the old Bailey's
Merry
savings
Christmas,
and
the
loan.
old building savings and loan.
Yeah.
And the other one, my dad, whenever we watched, he loved because when my dad would watch movies with me, he would recognize old character actors,
Oh, and my father did the same thing.
and he used to laugh every time at the Angel because he was like Angel's second class.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he just thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
yeah.
That he had to. He goes, "Oh, I know, I've seen that guy a million times in a million movies," and that's definitely the pinnacle.
Did you know Independent? Did you know? It's a Wonderful Life was not a hit when it came out.
Really?
They released it in July, I believe.
Why?
Exactly. That was before they figured out movies, and summer blockbusters didn't happen until the '70s. They didn't exist. But you would think it would be logical to put it out at Christmas, but they didn't. So, um, I like I said, I like the Bing Crosby ones. When we get to the modern ones, I mean, Home Alone just kills me because I'm a John Hughes guy. You know that I'm a John Hughes guy. We've heard it, Planes, Trains, all that stuff, Breakfast Club. But, he wrote Home Alone, which is a fascinating movie if you think about it. And, I used to teach in class. We would talk about it because, first of all, back then, my kids would all quote the movie, keep the change, you filthy animal, all that stuff. And again, first of all, comedy with a heart. And second of all,
Sure.
is I would point out to them and they would be shocked. And I'd say, that whole sequence when he did the paint can and Daniel Stern steps on the nail and there's the tar and all, that's like 7 minutes of the whole movie. 7 minutes. But that's what you think of when you think of Home Alone. But the rest of the movie builds to that point. And there's a lot of emotion in it. There's a lot of great subplot stuff. The old guy next door who supposedly is the killer.
Oh yeah, right.
That the scene when he's with Macaulay Culkin in the church is he talks about it being estranged from his son. Just this is just a great scene, and that whole thing. No, nothing makes sense after that because the old guy rescues him next door, but his parents aren't home and just lets him go home alone, which makes no sense. But you got to go with it. But I love Home Alone. I love little stuff like, John Candy and the polka band just kills me every
Oh
time.
my God. I
We
mean,
sold like 700 of those. He's talking about the recordings, and then leaving his kid in the funeral home is my favorite thing ever. I laugh at that uncontrollably every time I watch it. And I'm sure he made that up because it's hysterical.
I always wondered why Catherine O'Hara didn't do more mainstream movies after this.
I, you know, she's probably had all. We'd have to look at her IMDb page because I'm sure she's been a lot of stuff.
she's been in a lot of stuff, but basically now she's, as you know, she's kind of been reborn with Eugene Levy and that whole
Oh
crew. I
yeah,
mean, that's her crew, right?
Schitt's Creek, right? Isn't she in Schitt's Creek?
Yeah, yeah, that's those guys were. I mean, the SCTV, I believe,
Yeah, oh yeah.
is
Oh yeah.
and that's where they really made their bones. And I look at her, and I still, when I see her, I go, I figure she would have been in a million mainstream movies as the mom, and I just, it just didn't happen. Now I love the
Well, she couldn't be
commercial.
another mom in a Christmas movie. You couldn't do that because she's, Kevin's mom.
Well, that's true. Maybe she was typecast. I mean, maybe she was so damn good at it.
Maybe.
You know, that was just
But
it.
yeah, Home Alone. Um, my wife loves Miracle on 34th Street, the modern one, and I like it too. It's an improvement on the original, the black
It's
and white.
okay.
And again, John Hughes. John
Can I,
Hughes wrote it.
can I go back to Home Alone for a minute, though?
Sure, absolutely. I could talk about it all day.
I think it's the brother-in-law, right? The brother-in-law who's always like after
Who
the
steals
food.
this? Who steals the salt and pepper shakers?
Right,
Shakers on the airplane? Yeah,
right. And John Hurd was a terrific character actor.
the
Well,
late John Hurd.
the
By the
late John
way,
Hurd, who died tragically. I was so sad when I heard
how did
that.
he die? I don't remember how he died.
No, they found him in a motel up or a hotel on
Oh,
the coast of
jeez.
California, and he was supposed to check in to the hospital for a procedure or,
Oh, jeez. Didn't
and
know that.
yeah, I mean, and he was in so many things. I mean,
No,
he's
he's in
just
a lot
one
of
of the,
stuff.
John Hurt is just one of those guys that like the John Hurds and the JT Walshes of the world, that were in
JT
them.
Walsh. Speaking of Miracle on 34th Street, he's the prosecutor.
Yeah, in a million things, just, in a million things.
You
And
said you watched Elf the other night. You were
well,
telling me
yeah,
Elf.
Elf, to me, you got to go Home Alone. And the point I wanted to make about Home Alone was John Hughes had this ability to never forget about his childhood.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know about you, but we had a furnace in our basement that looked like
yeah,
something from outer space.
and it sounded like it, which is
It
why he
did.
put that in Home Alone.
And he put it in Home Alone.
Yeah,
Now, I remember the furnace in our basement, and we had a ranch. It's maybe 1,000, maybe 900 square feet, the house. I don't know. It was not a big house, right? I still to this day don't know why the furnace was so damn big, but it looked like something out of Lost in Space,
yeah,
right? It was
yeah.
this huge aluminum thing, and the vents,
The
right?
vents are. Yeah.
The vent, instead of like, this was before baseboard heat, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we got
Yeah, we had
baseboard heat.
radiators. We had radiators.
We had radiators, like, oh, the baseboard heat, man, that's a big deal. So it had these metal arms. Like, I remember, I could see it to this day, the washer and dryer to the left, the furnace is right there. It's got metal arms and it's going out every which way. And when the whole house would shake when it would run. So when you saw in Home Alone, when the furnace lights up and it looks like this monster, it's phenomenal.
But see, I think that was for the adults who watched the thing, not kids, because kids wouldn't have that.
Drew,
And that's John Hughes.
it's an excellent point. It's an excellent point.
John Hughes did that all the time. And there's so many things in that movie. The elf, when he goes and sees Santa, and he says, I know how it works. And he says, hold out your little paw. And he gives some Tic Tacs. My daughter talks about it all the time. Hold out your little paw. She still say it 5 times a year.
Oh my God. And Pesci and Daniel Stern, terrific.
Yeah.
Terrific. Anyways.
We've been scammed by a kindergartner.
What's that?
We've been scammed by a kindergartner.
Right. And of course, Macaulay Culkin.
But we should talk Elf too, because
let's talk Elf. Let's move on to talk Elf. I'd have to say that I love Elf as much as I love Home Alone, and I'll tell you why. The scene where he is singing in the bathroom with Zoe Deschanel?
Yeah.
And they're singing together. I love, he's just like so oblivious.
Yeah.
And and I almost said Lou Grant as Santa, but Ed Asner as Santa. Yeah. And he's like, oh, the park rangers, they're on the naughty list.
There's a lot of laughs in Elf. I mean, a lot of laughs. And he was marvelous. And the whole thing in New York and skating and all that stuff. I hate the ending. I just hate it.
Oh, why?
From the time I saw it in the theater, the whole thing with the horses and they're chasing them and
Oh, I
Santa
loved
Man's
it.
in Central Park and you got a Christmas spirit makes that sleigh go. It's like I don't know, I didn't buy it, but I still love the movie. So
I love Jimmy Caan in it. I mean,
he's very good. The late Jimmy Caan. We're talking
the
about
late
dead
Jimmy.
people now. A lot of dead people in this episode.
Oh my God, that's a good.
Um,
Yeah, Jimmy
yeah.
Caan.
Um,
And even like when I should look up the actor. God, I got to give the guy credit. But who plays the manager? Um, and he's got the walkie-talkie, and he goes, "They've sent somebody in from corporate, and he's got a brand new bat or whatever." He goes,
well, my favorite line is "Work's your new favorite." When he says, I
uh,
love when he says that.
"Oh my God, he's so
There's a lot
good."
of great lines. It's a good one to watch. I'm trying to think. The newer ones. I don't know. I never. Supposedly, you told me the one that was on Netflix with Kurt Russell is supposed to be good.
I liked it. Christmas Chronicles. I liked the first one. I
There's another
liked it.
one. I didn't
There's a
even know there was
second one
another
that
one.
he made with Goldie,
Hmm.
and I don't like it as much. You know why? Because I'm a huge Kurt Russell fan. I'm
I
telling
like
you,
him too.
I like him too. He can play anything, and in this movie, he lets it rip and he has fun. I mean, Santa has play. They do Jailhouse Rock in prison, like he's in jail, and it's like the Blues Brothers, and he's
Hmm.
singing in jail. I love it, and they don't make him look fat, right? So when he shows up, and the kid goes like, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "You're not Santa." He goes, I slimmed down. They got me on a diet," and he's just great in it. He's
Yeah, I
just
gotta
kind of
watch it.
he's a cantankerous old Santa. Um, and they end up instead of having a sleigh, they end up having a red sports car, and the jailhouse rock scene is great. And I think that's the closest thing that I've seen come to something like this, come to
Yeah.
something that people could watch.
We talked about that episode we did when movies are dead. The one thing about Christmas movies is you have to make it a movie because you can't do Christmas streaming because it can't
You
be eight
can't.
episodes, can't be
No.
multiple years. It's got to be a self-contained story, so it's got to be a movie. So they will make Christmas movies. Those aren't dead, I don't think. They'll just be on streaming.
No, they'll just be on
I didn't
streaming.
see the one with Will Ferrell and what's his name, Ryan. What's his
Ryan
name?
Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I started to watch it.
I heard it's not good.
I couldn't follow through.
Yeah. So
And they shot
it
that in
shows they're going
Boston.
to make them. And if somebody can write another one that's good, a Home Alone. There's no more John Hughes out there, but maybe there's somebody out there.
They tried. They've got Reynolds singing, they've got Will singing, and he's plays the ghost of Christmas Present that's got to get the job done. I mean, he's basically Clarence, right?
Yeah.
Angel's second class. He wants to get his wings, and that's what he's got to do. He's got one more thing before he retires, so that's not new. But it just didn't really suck in, or it didn't suck me in. I mean, there's always the legendary, like if Rudolph's on, the claymation. I mean, you got to watch that.
Yeah.
Bumbles Bounce. I just watch it because it's from my
Yeah.
youth. The other thing about Alf is Jon Favreau too. Jon
Yeah.
Favreau directed that.
He did. Did a
He
good job,
did a
except for
great.
the end, which I know.
Yeah, you don't like the end. I love the ending where they're trying to get and they're all singing.
Trying to think what else. What else is out there that you got to watch? I mean, we've already hit two. We'll watch Home Alone with Megan. Our daughter. It's
Well, it's just a couple of
34th Street,
staples.
maybe.
The
What's that?
34th Street. Are you talking about the one with Dylan McDermott?
Yep.
It's not bad, and I think Victor French plays the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the Santa Claus. He's the Santa Claus.
No, it's not Victor French. It's what's his name? It's the is that who
not
it is?
Victor French. It's Mr. French.
Mr. French.
Sebastian.
Yeah, I think that's who it is.
Yeah. No, that is.
Check IMDb. Figure out. I forgot.
Yeah. No.
He's one of those English guys.
Yeah. No. Well, he was the butler, and he was played Mr.
You sure? I'm not so serious.
I'm pretty sure about that.
Look it up.
I'm gonna look it up. I mean, no, when I said Victor French, he was the sheriff in that stupid sitcom about cops in the South, Macon, Georgia. Carter Country. That's who it was. Yeah, Miracle on 31st. And then of course you've got A Christmas Story, which it's okay.
That had its run there in the 80s and 90s, but the Double Dog Dare You kind of stuff. That was pretty good. I don't think there's one channel that shows it over and over again, keeps showing it the whole,
Well,
forget
I
what
mean,
it is.
the whole thing on the North Pole, with when all of a sudden the elves come out with guns or something, or the military, or they have, like, the army shows up or something. That kind of, I was like,
Which one is that?
in A Christmas Story, there's like all of a sudden they're in the North Pole and then there's some sort of military attack.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Maybe I have that
I thought,
confused.
aren't we talking about Ralphie? Wasn't he Christmas Story?
Yeah, Ralphie.
Ralphie has a gun. You shoot your eye out.
Oh no, you know what? I screwed up.
You're thinking Polar Express or something?
No, I couldn't even watch that. Richard Attenborough
Richard Attenborough, that's the guy.
and Elizabeth Perkins, Dylan McDermott, J.T. Walsh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the little girl who played the daughter retired from acting. She had like 3 or 4 juicy parts, in her IMDb. Must have made her money and said, "I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore."
Yeah.
She was very good though. Hell of a child actor.
Yeah, Susan Walker.
Yeah, before
Wilson.
she probably quit before she turned into Macaulay Culkin.
Here's another guy that's been in a million things. We should probably do a story just on showing these guys. Robert Prosky. He was the judge.
He's the judge. Yeah.
He's the judge. And if you go to IMDb, he has 97 credits. I thought he'd bust 100.
Those checks keep coming in, they don't send checks anymore.
Oh my God.
Well, actually they do. You should tell they send checks, right?
Oh, they do. But now streaming has killed that. Because streaming, you don't get checks. You don't get residuals on streaming.
No. Wow,
if it goes right to streaming, you don't get residuals.
That sucks.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, unless like Don't Look Up, because that was a theatrical release too.
Mm-hmm.
Is
there any Christmas movie out this year other than the Ryan Reynolds Will Ferrell?
That's the only one. I don't think it's like it used to be.
See, they want us to watch the old ones. They're unparalleled. That's my.
Well, it also comes down to the comedies, and it ties back into what we talked about before. They're on a lot of comedies now, right? I mean, they're just.
Well, somebody's got to write a modern Christmas movie, and make it a classic. Because when Home Alone came out, it took me by surprise. I loved it. It was before I knew I loved John Hughes. I knew I loved Breakfast Club. We'll talk about Breakfast Club someday. Right. But probably didn't think it was going to be a classic, and it's turned into such a classic. And like I said, when years back,
Macaulay Culkin's face, Kevin.
Yeah, legendary.
What's your favorite prank in Home Alone? Is it is it Daniel Stern goes through the doorway for the dog, and then the sledgehammer comes down and hits him?
I think I like the spider when the spider's on Pesci's chest, and Daniel Stern bashes the spider. I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it's all pretty brutal if you think about it.
The physical comedy is brutal, and then
he steps on a nail, for Christ's sake, and it's all. How did he clean up the house before they came home in one day? I want to know how he got rid of all the tar and all that stuff. Don't ask
too many questions, Drew. But I have not seen Home Alone 2, 3, or 4 or whatever.
No, I won't watch them.
Because the first one.
Yeah, I'm a purist.
Well, dude, happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, happy holidays. Watch one of them again. Check out the old Bing Crosby stuff. You'll love it. It's
Yeah. Did the whole boom? Didn't that start because he used to forget the words?
Perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah, nobody watching understands what I'm talking about, but
no, they don't.
But I appreciate that.